Bring this meeting back to order. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I'd like to ask Mr. Ratcliffe to come up to the lectern, please. We do have one public hearing scheduled for single lot special assessment, roll, hearing, and confirmation. He is here with us today for those that might be here for that particular item and is, I do believe, prepared to meet with folks prior to that and maybe resolve those things, but I'll let you talk about it, so please go right ahead.
Thank you, Council President. I bring before you tonight the single lot special assessment roll for a public hearing and confirmation. Section 1.3, as contained in the ordinance code, mandates the procedure for assessing certain costs incurred by the city through an assessment process. The cost which was assigned but not paid becomes a lien on the land and are then placed on the tax bill via single lot special assessment. The ordinance further states that the assessor shall prepare an assessment roll covering all such charges, and that the City Council shall schedule a public hearing for the confirmation of the assessment roll. Such assessments and all interest and charges thereon shall, from the date of the confirmation of the roll, be and remain a lien on the property as assessed. It is recommended that your honorable body conduct a public hearing and approve the attached resolution confirming the single lot special assessment roll in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 1.3 of the City Code and Ordinance. We do have members of the various different departments standing ready in the lobby if there's anybody here that would like to discuss any of these charges.
Okay, very good. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Again, yes, Mr. Percassi.
The public hearing is not tonight, is it?
The public hearing is tonight, yes.
We don't have the master list of all the charges, do we?
You should have it, yes. There should be a master roll,
No,
master
we
list
didn't get the,
in the packets.
no, I just got the cover sheet explanation.
Yeah, that should have been in the packets.
Yeah, it was just the, we only got one.
It's only
One
one sheet
sheet.
that we got. I don't know.
So it was not in our packets. So,
I didn't want to throw a wrench in it, but we didn't see it.
I mean, we could still have a public hearing if there are people that don't get their information resolved prior to, unless the council has any problem with moving forward with the public hearing as is. Oh, can't hear, sorry.
We can still have it.
We can still have it, okay. You're fine with that? Okay, very good. So for those that are here for the public hearing, again, as has been noted, staff members are here. They'll be in the hallway right now, so you'll have an opportunity to discuss your matters. And so we'll still have the hearing later for those that maybe do not or wish to still speak on it. Otherwise, and maybe you can possibly resolve your concern prior to, so you don't have to wait through the meeting. Sound good?
Very good.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Mr.
Ms.
Chairman?
Taylor?
No, I was going to say, and then you can provide us the details?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, because they weren't here. Okay, thank you.
I can have those to you yet even tonight.
Okay, thank
No
you.
problem.
All right. Mr. Percassi?
No, that's all.
Okay.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Michael.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just one other housekeeping item. We did have a closed session plan for this evening, and that is going to be rescheduled to our next meeting on May 20. Was that May? Oh, April. April 29th. Okay. So we will not have a closed session this evening either. All right. Moving on to presentations. Our first one, the Southfield Photo Prize presentation. Michael Mannion.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. For the audience, my name is Michael Mannion, Community Relations Director for the city. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce Ms. Veronica Leonard, who is our Total Living Commission Chairperson. And Ms. Leonard and I are here this evening to give an overview of the Southfield Photo Prize. It is in its third year. The contest continues to grow every year in terms of quality of entries and the number of entries received. And it's our pleasure this year to just give a brief overview about the third annual photo prize that will be kicking off here shortly. Submissions are open now. With that, I wanted to introduce Mr. Leonard, who will begin our presentation.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor. The City of Southfield will sponsor the third annual Southfield Photo Prize this summer to showcase the natural and architectural beauty throughout the city while also creating an outdoor public art exhibition. The city is currently seeking qualified entries for the competition. Will run from June through August. We've been promoting the photo prize competition across social media, and we hope to get an even larger response than we received last year. Submissions will be initially reviewed by the Total Living Commission that will select the top 25 entries that will be displayed and eligible for public voting. Finalists will then be enlarged and displayed outside of City Hall and Parks and Rec building for public viewing and voting. The community will be encouraged to visit all of the entries and to vote online for their favorite installation. Finalists will be posted on the city's website, www.cityofsouthfield.com, for judging by the public from June 10th through August 30th. And I think we have next a slide of the installation from past years, and I know you've all seen it throughout the city. I think it gives a spark of interest to our public buildings each summer. Why enter? The photo that receives the most overall votes will be featured in the city's 2020 calendar with a photo credit. Other finalists may also be featured in the calendar and other city marketing materials. The photograph that receives the most overall votes will be announced at an awards ceremony in September. And new this year, prizes and gift certificates from local businesses for all of the top 10 winners.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. I'll continue with the criteria for submission. And again, all of this is outlined on the City of Southfield website, cityofsouthfield.com, as well as in flyers that we did have out front for anyone who's looking for more information. Please feel free to grab one of those. It gives you all of the contest criteria. So basically, to enter, you must live, work, worship, or attend school in the City of Southfield. It should be an original digital color photograph. However, we are open to black and white or other photo editing. So you can feel free to edit a shot. We will accept that as well. But again, we want it to be something shot within the City of Southfield borders, and preferably something that showcases the city or a city landmark in some way. But again, completely open as far as subject matter, just that it's shot within the city and our borders. The photograph should be high resolution, so namely we need it to be 300 DPI, which is dots per inch. And again, I would stress not to worry too much on the technical aspects of it. If you think you've got a good shot, please go ahead and submit it. We can let you know after the fact if it meets the criteria, if it's something we can work with. The main reason for the criteria is that it's suitable for reproduction. So that's why we want high quality images. But again, feel free to submit anything that you may have, because it certainly might be that winning shot. And don't worry too much about the technical aspects. One of the things we do need to point out, though, while the city does not own the photo, we do reserve the right then to use it in any of our PR collateral marketing materials, chiefly the city's 2020 calendar. So anyone may submit up to 3 shots for consideration for the contest per person. Submissions we prefer to be emailed as an attachment to photocontest@cityofsouthfield.com. The submissions may also be mailed on a CD to the Community Relations Department at the city's address there, 26,000 Evergreen Road. We do prefer email submissions, but we certainly will accept them as well on a CD. And submissions that do not meet the above criteria will not be eligible for the competition. But again, I would encourage everyone, if you think you've got something that may be a winning shot, please go ahead and send it over to us, and we can let you know if it's something that we could work with as far as the criteria is concerned. And most importantly, all submissions are due by Friday, May 10th. So that means all 3 submissions must be received, whether it be on a CD in the mail or via the email address photocontest@cityofsouthfield.com. Just want to show a couple of past winners to give an idea of the kind of things that the committee is looking for. And I should mention that As I said, we receive all manner of shots. Last year, we received almost 200 total submissions, and we saw everything from babies and dogs to landscape, architectural shots. I think everyone would agree Southfield has an abundance of natural and architectural beauty throughout the city, so there's a lot of opportunity to find that great shot, and who better than the folks who live, work, worship, and attend school here. You never know when you're going to come across that great shot. We'd encourage you to pull out your phone, or if you have a camera, to get that and go ahead and enter the contest. You've got nothing to lose, and you may win. So the 2017 was our first annual contest. As I mentioned, we're going into our third annual this year. Last year's winner was a beautiful shot at the Berg Historical Park. I should mention the shot previous to that was LTU's campus. At this point, we'd like to open up to any questions that the council may have. And again, I would also encourage the community, should you have any questions, please feel free to call Community Relations. You can reach us on 248-796-5130, or you'll find more detail on the city website as well at cityofsouthfield.com. So any questions, feel free to give us a call. Open to any questions the council may have at this point.
Yep, Councilman Brightwell.
Yeah, this is more of a testimonial. I attended and participated in the award ceremony the last couple of years, and this, believe it or not, there's a whole lot of community spirit involved in this. The winners and the participants were enthusiastic, and this is a really good community development tool that is being used here in the Southfield, to the extent that I'm walking the neighborhoods and they would tell me, Mr. Brightwell, please vote for me. You know, so there is a lot of community spirit involved in this is an ideal project. I'm glad that the commission and the community relations people are really going forward with this. And believe it or not, there was some fantastic shots by amateurs.
Absolutely.
And most of them, I think most of them are amateur. 99% of them are amateurs.
I would hazard to guess the lion's share are amateur photographers.
Right.
It's certainly open to anyone that is a professional in that field. But like I said, we really look at this as a way to engage the community. You know, it's a great opportunity for folks to get involved and to showcase their vision of Southfield. As I said, there's no lack of great subject matter throughout the city. So it's a great opportunity for folks to get involved in the community and to engage residents. Then it's another great thing to go and see I can't tell you how many folks we'd see over the summer months. Families up there viewing the outdoor exhibition. I would also encourage folks who don't necessarily enter to come out and see the outdoor photo exhibition after. The photos are enlarged extensively, as we saw in that earlier shot. So it's really a neat thing to come up and see the whole collection, and then to go to vote for your favorite online.
One final thing. I think one thing I've learned the last 2 years by participating, most of the shots, I believe, were taken with smartphones. Is that correct?
They're actually taken I think we rarely get any smartphone entries. Most of them are actually taken with actual real cameras, which we found surprising given the advancement in phone technology.
Right.
So yeah, most of them are actually camera shots.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. In fact, the mayor at our award ceremony in September, there's the annual ceremony each September, and Mayor Cipher actually mentioned that, or surveyed the crowd and asked them, you know, what was the format that they used, and most were actually on a traditional camera.
For some reason, I picked, I don't know where I got the fact that a lot of them were submitted,
Some do.
taken
I
on
mean, you'd think
smartphones.
the majority
Maybe
would.
the smartphones didn't make the cut. I was like, okay then.
And I think one of the other cool parts about the competition is that the winners get the actual blow up of their photos at the end. So if you enter, you're one of the top 25, you actually get the large blow up for your home.
Okay.
At the conclusion. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right, there's no other questions. Thank you for your presentation
Thank you.
tonight.
Appreciate
And
it.
we want to hopefully encourage our residents to think about participating. So, sounds good. Our next presentation is the presentation on the West Nile and Zika virus.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and guests. I'm Brandy Solacek. I'm the city's stormwater manager, and I'm here to talk about West Nile virus and our funding program related to that. So just to start off, a quick overview of West Nile. It's a mosquito-borne virus that came to the U.S. back in 1999 and hit Michigan back in 2002, where there was a big outbreak. This virus is spread to humans by the bite of an infected mosquito, and the mosquitoes get that from biting an infected bird. There's no vaccine for this virus, but 80% of the people that are infected never know they have it because they don't have any symptoms. A small percentage get flu-like symptoms, and then in very rare cases, it can cause major severe symptoms. These usually affect either the young, the old, or immune-compromised individuals. And it's thought that once you actually get the virus that you are immune to that, so that's good news. So we did have a couple major outbreaks back in 2002 and then 2012. We're not sure why this was the case, but those years had very hot, dry summers. So there's some correlation there. The mosquito that breeds, has West Nile, likes to breed in stagnant water. So if it's not raining a lot, they'll breed more often. So this past year, we had a little bit under 200 cases in Michigan that were confirmed, 12 in Oakland County, and 1 death in Oakland County, so there still is cause for concern for this virus. Fortunately, Oakland County has been providing funding for these prevention programs through all the local municipalities in Oakland County since 2003, so that's the last 16 years. Southfield itself has received over $260,000 in funding for our programming. And this year, we're slated to receive a little bit under $10,000, which is similar to what we've received the last couple years. And later in the agenda, under the consent agenda, there's a resolution for your approval for this funding from Oakland County. So I'll just go through our program quickly. It's a threefold program. The main bulk of our program is to treat all of our city-owned catch basins with mosquito larvicides, which are dunks that the DPW staff goes out and puts in those catch basins. They sink to the bottom, and they stay there till they disintegrate. And these larvicides typically last 150 days. So we typically get out there early summer, late spring. These larvicides are not harmful to humans or other wildlife. They basically affect the larval stage of the mosquito. This type of mosquito likes to breed in these stagnant standing areas, such as catch basins. We also do have a permit through the state of Michigan to apply these larvicides to our storm system. And then another part of our program is that we treat city-owned detention ponds and areas with standing or stagnant water. It takes about 7 days for this mosquito to become an adult. So if they're standing in water for more than 7 days, there's a possibility that we might treat those areas. So the other portion of our program is education. Coming to talk to council tonight about it. We also post information on our city website and send out press releases. We post things on our city cable as well. We've done some news stories. We have handouts throughout the city, and then we also pass out mosquito wipes at city events throughout the summer. And Oakland County Health Department has a great campaign that they do every year, and we kind of piggyback on their educational pieces and hand out that information as well. So what can you do to reduce your risk of West Nile? Eliminate breeding areas. So anything that's in your yard that may have stagnant or standing water for more than 7 days, such as some of these items up here, you want to flip those over, clean them out once in a while, and just eliminate areas that mosquitoes do breed in. And then also some of the obvious things: use insect repellents, limit your outdoor activity during dawn and dusk. That's when people like to be out, but also mosquitoes like to be out because it's a little cooler. But if you go out at that time, wear long sleeve shirts, long pants, and then also maintain your windows and door screens to keep mosquitoes out of buildings. So just real quick, I'll talk about the Zika virus because this is something that came on a couple years ago, and there was a big outbreak. Fortunately for us, this mosquito does not live in Michigan. It's more to the southern hemisphere. The only place in the U.S. that it actually lives is in Florida, but this is a different type of virus because it can actually be transmitted by people, so it's not just by the mosquito. So I think the CDC and a lot of other travel association have done a lot of education for when you are traveling, so just keep that in mind when you travel out of the U.S. to an area that may have this. Just protect yourself by doing some of the things listed earlier. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, take those now.
Council, any questions? Mr. Fracassi? Yes, sir.
Does Oakland County spray over the roofs still?
No, they do not. So they used to give us money for spraying and stuff. I'm sorry. They used to give us money for spraying, but they don't anymore, and they don't do that themselves. So the county themselves really don't treat like the catch basins and stuff. They give them funding to the locals to do that work. Yep.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is to the National Basketball Retired Players Association.
That's okay, I don't need it. Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing us to come before you. You can't hear me? With me, I have Chris Riley. I think a familiar face. Chris oversees golf operations, is also our athletic programmer. And of course, you know the mayor. Before we ask our special guest to join us, I wanted to give a little bit of information. It's my pleasure to recognize and thank our friends and partners, the Detroit Chapter National Basketball Retired Players Association. On December 15th, during the 6th to 8th grade basketball league playoff games and our youth wheelchair basketball tournament, the players shared their personal stories about life in and after the NBA. They spoke about the values of the game, both on and off the court. They talked about character development and positive behavior and discipline. The players brought a level of excitement and enthusiasm that day, took pictures with our group, talked a great deal about giving back to the community, and we couldn't be more grateful. Tonight, we also have a special guest here, Dolores Flagg, who connected our groups together, and if she could join me along with the basketball players, that would be fantastic.
Council members, President, thank you. Sometimes when I'm around them, I feel like I'm in the land of giants, but they're my dear friends. I just want to thank Terry Fields for allowing, and her staff, for allowing the retired NBA players to come and be with the children. One of the things that they do that really connected me to the retired players was that they gave generously of their time and energy to connect youth through sportsmanship and competition. And Southfield has so many wonderful, talented students and children. I keep referring to students, but nonetheless, I'm very honored to introduce to you our Vice President of the National Retired Basketball Players Association, Mr. Willie Norwood.
Thank you, Dolores, Mayor, City Council. It's just a pleasure to be here today, and I just want to thank Terry to inviting us out to give back to some of the kids who were less fortunate than we were when we was playing basketball. But you can't tell now because everybody's sort of limping and hopping around. But that's come from many years on the basketball court. And I'd like to introduce the guy that participated that day, Willie Burton. He was the #1 pick from the Miami Heat.
All right.
Major Baxter. He's the #2 pick for the Detroit Pistons back in the days. Charles Turner, Harlem Globetrotters.
All right.
Why y'all give him such a big hand? Robert Charlie Edge, Atlanta Pacers, and Willie Norwood, Detroit Pistons. We just want to thank you all. And we're really looking forward to doing many more things for here to the Southfield because our youth really need our help because there's so many. kids out here without parents, and that's what we hear. We go around to the hospitals, talk to kids. We at Beaumont Hospital for Christmas, at the Children's Hospital, just try to give back and some leadership for some of the kids. We just want to thank you all.
So on behalf of the city of Southfield, we want to thank you very much for coming out, and we have a certificate of appreciation to the Detroit chapter of the National Basketball Retired Players Association in recognition of their contributions and support of Southfield Parks and Recreation Department programs and participants. And I will say that I know the kids were absolutely thrilled with all of you. And you all make us look kind of And so I'd like to present this to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, if we could everyone to kind of spread out a little bit so we can get everyone
Yeah.
on the photo.
Come on. No problem.
Everyone takes it. On three. 1, 2.
Is this for photo prize?
She's got it.
All right. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
And gentlemen, if you all wouldn't mind, we'd like to have y'all come up. I'd just like to shake your hands, if you don't mind. Just if you don't mind just coming around here, we'd all like to just say hello.
Congratulations.
Everybody got a partner.
All righty. Thank you all once again. It's a wonderful opportunity to meet you. Our last presentation for this evening is a presentation of a proclamation for Education and Sharing Day. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Once again, good evening, council. We have a proclamation declaring Education and Sharing Day as April 16th, 2019. And I'll read it quickly. Whereas Education and Sharing Day is established by the United States Congress in honor of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Shearson, and calls for an increased focus on education. And whereas in 1978, the U.S. Congress asked President Carter to designate the Rabbi's birthday as National Education and Sharing Day to recognize and pay tribute to Rabbi Shearson's efforts for a better education for all American citizens. And whereas the Rebbe was an advocate for children and spoke about the need for each child to be given an education that would offer them the opportunities to succeed, not only academically, but in focus on character building as well. And whereas, to quote the Rebbe, put greater emphasis on the promotion of fundamental human rights and obligations of justice and morality, which are the basis for any human society. And whereas on Tuesday, April 16th, 2019, it is fitting we honor Rabbi Shearson and his commitment to children and education, and rededicate ourselves to teach the next generation of Americans the values that make our country strong. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Kenson Siver, Mayor of City, Southfield County of Oakland, State of Michigan, do hereby proclaim April 16th, 2019 as Education Sharing Day in the City of Southfield. Thank you. And to accept this proclamation is Rabbi from Beth Yehuda. Okay, want to introduce yourselves? You're substituting.
I'm substituting for Rabbi Gordon, yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Rabbi Bensi Gaisinski. I'm here on behalf of the worldwide Chabad Lubavitch movement. We are an educational organization with institutions in over 1,000 cities throughout the world. In every state we have an institution, and over 20 in Michigan. All these institutions are established by the inspiration and the guidance of the Rebbe we just heard about. And as you said, since 1978, it's been the custom of the United States President and recently of many local municipalities to establish his birthday in the Jewish calendar. This year will be April 16th, tomorrow, as Education and Sharing Day. I'd like to thank the mayor and the city council for making this happen, and take this opportunity also to bless you all with the wisdom and the courage needed to guide and to lead all your constituents in the best way possible with peace and prosperity for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We can use the blessings.
Yes, always in order.
Council teacher, anyone have any comments or questions? All right, thank you very much.
You want to keep going, or you want to?
Sorry.
Do you want to wait, or you want to keep going?
I'll just let it go real quick. I think.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Morris.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes for March 18th, 2019, and the regular meeting minutes of March 25th, 2019.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilwoman Morris and supported by Councilwoman Taylor that we approve the regular meeting minutes of March 18th, 2019, and March 25th of 2019. Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, minutes are approved.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Mandelbaum.
I'd like to move the consent agenda items A through K
All right.
with the
Support.
modification of item E that is subject to approval through the attorney.
Actually, item D was asked to be pulled by Mr. Fakasi for further discussion. So,
I will modify my motion to approve the consent agenda items A through K with the exception of D, as well as the modification for E.
okay.
Support.
All right. It's been properly moved and properly moved by Mr. Mandelbaum and seconded by Mr. Brightwell that we approve consent agenda items A, B, C, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, with all modifications made in our earlier study session. Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, and those items have been approved. Item D is the proposed resolution regarding the City of Southfield's hiring process. Mr. Fakasi.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I was just referring to the city charter and feel that council should not be on that committee. Who wish to vote no.
Okay. If there's not anything else, I'll entertain a motion for approval for item D.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve item D.
Support.
Well, like, come on, Tanya. No, it's been properly moved by Mr. Mandelbaum and seconded by Councilwoman Morris that we approve item D. Are there any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed?
No.
Let the record show we have one nay vote on item D from Mr. Fakasi. Very good. So next, we'll move into our public hearings. As was stated earlier, we do have one public hearing dealing with single lot special assessments. So we will allow anyone that's present here today who hasn't resolved their matter yet at this point, if you'd like to at least speak to this matter, and this matter only, you will have 3 minutes to come to the lectern to give your commentary. So I will open up the public hearing. When you come to the lectern, please give your name, address, and again, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Cassandra Griffin. My address is 20190 Westland Drive, Southfield 48075. I received a notice concerning emergency litter removal, and my husband can attest to the litter removal. It was not necessary, and they billed me $150 for the removal, and that's what I want to address.
Okay, thank you. Again, our assessor is in the back. If you'd like to speak with him further about that matter, you're welcome to.
Okay, all
Okay,
right.
thank you. All right, are there any other, any other residents that would like to speak to this matter?
Pamela Jarrow, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is still 248-346-0439. We are talking about these special lot assessments, and it's really appalling when people get up here and they see these charges and they appear to be a surprise. I don't want the council to forget that we have an apartment community, Sapphire, that's in violation of a lot of things. So if you're not going to go after them in court to recoup money for those code enforcement violations, don't be so quick to collect from people that are paying their taxes. And that's all I have to say about that. And Fracassi was right. You guys shouldn't even be talking about this if you didn't have the material today. You can't really vote on something unless you've looked at all the details. Thank you.
Again, this is a public hearing. If there are any other residents that would like to speak to this matter, you come to the lectern, you have 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll consider the public hearing closed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the assessor's roll.
It's been properly moved and properly by Mr. Fracassi and seconded by Mr. Mandelbaum that we approve the assessor's roll. Are there any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, then assessment as roll has been approved. We'll next move on to our communications portion of the meeting. For those that have the agenda in front of them today, you might notice that there is a statement that leads into this portion of the meeting. And we plan to keep it here just so that we can continue to remind people about what public comments and communications are about. Excuse me. And this has just come from, you know, from time to time we've had certain speakers that have, I think, abused this portion of the meeting, and we want to just make sure that everyone is clear on what this is about and what potential consequences could be by violating some of these guidelines. So I will read it today before we move into that portion. It reads, the City of Southfield City Council has established the following rules of procedure for all speakers. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official performs his or her duties. No person shall use threatening, abusive language or hate speech when addressing the city council. Any person who violates this section shall be directed by the presiding officer to be orderly and silent. If a person addressing the council refuses to become silent when so directed, such person may be deemed by the presiding officer to have committed a breach of the peace by disrupting and impeding the orderly conduct of a public meeting of the city council and may be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. If the person refuses to leave as directed, the presiding officer may direct any law enforcement officer who is present to escort the violator from the meeting. Again, this is just to, again, not try to be punitive to any individual in particular, but to set some guidelines and standards for what this portion of the meeting is so that we can continue to maintain an orderly and civil meeting, which is what this is all about. So We don't have any problems hearing from our residents. We want to hear from you. We want to know your concerns, but there's a way to do everything. And I think that statement there gives you an idea about what the city is about and how we plan to continue to conduct these meetings. With that said, we'll go into our first request for recognition, which is Sonia Simpson Gardner, if she is present. And does not look like she is. Our next request is Ms. Pamela Gerald.
Good evening to my Southfield residents. After 36 years, I'm still here, and I appreciate your confidence in me and allowing me to be your independent voice on a lot of matters. We are in need of a police chief in the city of Southfield. I'm curious as to whether or not all the applicants that have applied for the job has been acknowledged that they filled out an application, given an equal opportunity to be interviewed and to be considered for the position. Because our democracy is under attack, and with all of the racial rhetoric that we're dealing with from the White House, we really need to make the best possible decision for the city of Southfield when selecting our police chief. Thank God the city of Southfield has not had the resident or uprising that some of the other communities have had. We do not have a problem with police brutality in the city of Southfield. We do not have a problem that I'm aware of with a lot of the racial profiling that other communities have. The only problem that I can see that we have, if you want to call it a problem, is the city would not allow the residents to partake in the selection of a police chief. There is a Citizens Advisory Board that's connected with our community policing program. And I think you would do yourselves a great service if you involved the entire board in that process and not try to handpick the people that you want, because maybe those people don't stay tuned into the community like some of the other members of that board. So I'm going to advise you to make your decision very carefully, be mindful of what's needed in this position, be mindful of the residents and the demographics in the city, and don't let your decision be personal. Acknowledge every single candidate. And I just found out from Detroit and near the city of Flint that our former police chief applied for the job as well. Thank you.
Okay. Our next request for recognition is Gerard Mullen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Gerard Mullen, Southfield Citizens Oversight Committee, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037. Mr. Chairman, tonight I would like to talk about Section 11.22. Section 11.22 in the Southfield City Charter. 11.22 is entitled Employees Retirement Board, which is better known as the CSRS Board. And I quote from Section 11.22 about the CSRS Board. 3 of the members shall be the same members that serve on the Civil Service Commission, unquote. If you check page 5, Boards and Commissions of the 2019 Southfield Award-winning calendar, you will find under the heading of Civil Service Commission, the names of only 2 members, and not the 3 mandated members from the Civil Service Commission that should be serving concurrently on the CSRS board. Sad to say, this is yet another screw-up by you folks regarding this charter. This time, the aforementioned section 11.22. For over a year now, I have repeatedly come up to this lectern and pointed out violation after violation by you folks regarding this charter. Tonight, I'd like to make a suggestion to this council. In the future, instead of council members spending thousands and thousands of dollars, taxpayer dollars, yearly on political junkets all over the U.S. under the guise of learning how to be a better legislator at the expense of the Southfield taxpayer. Maybe, just maybe you folks could just sit at your home, at your kitchen table, or sit in the library, in the city's $37 million library, on some nice sunny afternoon, and read this charter. And by reading and obeying this charter, you folks could put me out of business. A real incentive for you folks. And also concurrently, you could save the taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars, wasted dollars, on worthless junkets. Thank you.
Our next request for recognition is Stacy Jackson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Stacy Jackson, 21685 Rougewood Drive, Southfield, Michigan, 48033. For months, I've been coming here speaking about the issue of septic tanks. Tonight, however, I'd like to tell you why I'm really here. I am here because hundreds, if not thousands, of people that I've never known, will never see their faces, made a great sacrifice for me. They faced fire hoses, attack dogs, hate mobs, billet clubs, guns, all to afford me, a woman they would never meet, the opportunity to excel in education as far as I would want to achieve, to live wherever my income could afford me, to love whoever I wanted. And these people were not just people within my bloodline or folks with hues or complexions like my own. They were Jewish, they were whites, Catholics, various denominations across the board, men, women, children, members of the LGBT community, many of which made the ultimate sacrifice with their lives, because we all know that freedoms in this country have not always been free for all. Having said that, I'm here to say that this city is guilty of something that I don't think that you intended to do, but has turned out to be. Selective enforcement of any code is discriminatory. One of the more honest things I've heard from this collective body was from Councilman Fracassi a few weeks ago when he said that this council does not have the wherewithal to solve the problem that I am presenting. I receive that, but don't accept it. You see, the city did not have the wherewithal 22 years ago. But when the population was predominantly white and middle class, rather than pushing out false narratives of what the people were not doing, they actually treated it like a rap record and dropped it like it was hot and kicked the can down the road for 22 years, picking it up in 2016. Let's be clear. We are talking about the same septic tanks in the same houses, in the same communities, in the same blocks from 1997. The only change in this situation and scenario is that the residents are now seniors and predominantly African American. After 6 months, I urge you, it is time for this city to own that. Own it, and then act on it, and then come to the public with solutions. Thank you.
Our next request for recognition is Keith Harris.
How you guys doing today? All Race and Life Matter. P.O. Box 2769, Southfield, Michigan. You know, I can't even express how much I care about that woman. You know, I agree with everything you said about when you come to this podium. But at the same time, you know, we're mobilizing again. Like I said, this is the time to do it. I'm working with a lot of people, and we are planning on having a meeting. We're going to start having monthly meetings based on race in this city. We're going to protect our black business owners. We're going to protect our African American homeowners. We're going to start making some noise. Things got to change. Code enforcement got to change. But most of all, our council have to change. You got to think more about the residents. I used to tell Charles Williams all the time, a wise leader have even a wiser counsel. You know why Donald Trump is such a buffoon? Because of his counsel. We're better than that. We're better than that. I'm looking at people of all races, all ages sit up here. We're supposed to be able to think our way out of everything. And we have not done that. I'm saying to each and every one of you, the natives are restless, they're tired, and it's in your hands to calm them down. I'm too tired to be up here. I've been up since this morning, 4 o'clock, talking to people, community, getting my son back and forth to school. But I'm here today saying, put your heads together, figure it out, because your community is restless. Pick the right police chief, pick the right person, make sure whoever you pick is well-rounded, well-diverse. Thank you.
Next request for recognition is Harold Hill.
Council, Mayor, Harold Hill. I wanted to first say congrats to Tiger Woods, because I got a chance to see him get his 5th jacket. And I was proud to see that because comebacks don't come that often. After 11 years of not having a comeback, it was good to see him make that comeback. You know, sports are hard enough, and everybody counted him out. And speaking of comebacks, I just wanted to make sure that we have that comeback for our Beechwood Golf Course also. He renewed our spirits, first of all, because with Tiger gone, a lot of people didn't play. Well, hopefully that will happen again, and Beechwood will come back, hopefully sooner than later. I did talk to the director of the department, so I'm not going to belabor the point. She said that we had some work to do and to find out more information. So I'm hoping that before the end of the summer, because it said that the golf course would be closed for the whole summer. And I'm hoping that they will do like the roads, open one side, close another, open another side, close another, and get that revenue stream back, because if it's making money, it makes sense. So just wanted to pass that along. Thank you for your time. And when it comes down to the police department, I think we have a dynamic police department here. Haven't had any issues in 29 years. Hopefully that continues with the right choices. Thank you.
Our next request for recognition is Gregory Keeler. I don't think I see him out there. Next request is Reverend Sheffield. Well, I don't believe is here either. Our next request is Adolph Mongo.
Yes, I'm here on behalf of Reverend Sheffield. He was unable to make it. My name is Brenda Hill. I'm with the Oakland County City Hall Watch. And I would like to, we had an order that people were supposed to speak, and I'd like Richard Mason to speak first. And if you'd like, I can come back last, if that's okay.
No, we're going to continue with the order we have in place.
No?
No.
No? Okay. So I can speak for Reverend Sheffield?
I'll allow it today, but normally we
But,
wouldn't do that.
it's okay, because I can come back. I got a lot to say. So we can go whoever's next, Adolph.
No, you can sign up for next week.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I would just like to thank the mayor and the mayor's staff, Sue and Beverly. I got a proclamation for Lee Smith Jr. in February, and they did a very good job. It took a little while, but they worked with me. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Next request is Adolph Mongo.
Good evening, Mayor, Honorable Council. My name is Adolph Mongo, 527 West Lafayette Boulevard, Detroit. I'm a visitor to your lovely city. I'm here on behalf of the Burns Hookah Lounge. I'm supporting the two young entrepreneurs who is having a real problem, operating. I'm here to ask this honorable body to work with these two young folks who only goal is to have a successful business, and it seems like they've been dragged through the mud in the courts, all because they are trying to get a license. The folks that had the business before them operated without a license, and until they sold it, these two African Americans have been harassed, have been forced to cut their hours. I'm just here to ask this council, work with them. People want to come to Southfield. They want to do business. They want to go to the restaurants and establishments like this lounge. Some people might not like it, but it's legal, and they're doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next request for recognition is Cindy Victor.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Victor. I'm the attorney for Burn Hookah, and we're here tonight to ask you to reconsider the ordinance. Richard Mason has come before you last year and submitted to you a proposed amendment to the ordinance. Right now, the communities around the state have an ordinance that allows hookah lounges, smoking lounges, to be open until 2 a.m. You can look at Ypsilanti, you can look at Shelby Township, you can look at West Bloomfield up the road. Many communities don't even have an ordinance, like Farmington Hills, which is the next community up northwestern. And doing some investigation with them as to why they didn't have a lounge, they felt they didn't need one, that 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whenever people wanted to close was fine, and that it brought in people to come to restaurants before and after they went to the lounge and to shop in the stores, and they found it to be beneficial to the community. So Farmington Hills does not have an ordinance. West Bloomfield does, that allows closing at 2 a.m. And as I said, and around the state, it's the same. So we're asking primarily that you look at Mr. Mason's amendment, he'll be speaking after me, and amend this ordinance to 2 a.m. so that it can allow the business to function as other competing businesses in the state do. And if we're not certain, since Mr. Mason came here last year and it was going to be considered and nothing happened, we're not certain what to do to get this on your agenda. So that's why we're here in public comment. But if someone can steer me in the direction of how to get a proposed ordinance on the agenda, I would love to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last request for recognition is Richard Mason.
I'm Richard Mason, owner of Burn Hookah Lounge, 28637 Northwestern Highway. To the mayor, city council, city clerk, treasurer. I had the opportunity to speak with you all last year before the city council and also before the treasurer's board about the challenges with the ordinance that I had that prevents me from being able to be competitive to the other hookah lounges in the community, outside of the community, and the neighboring cities. I was requested to make an amendment to the ordinance, which I submitted back in October, and I resubmitted back in November. Nothing changed. As of January, when my license was up for renewal, during the time of my ordinance submission to you guys, and as of January, my business has just continually have been harassed. Police standing in the parking lot harassing our guests, our members, shining a license into the business. And after January, after my license was up for renewal, that harassment has substantially increased. There has been 5 times just this year alone that I've had 3 and 4 cops bust their way into my business without a warrant, without no reason for an emergency, no reason for an arrest, just to cause a sense of harassment. They sit in the parking lot. They have blocked the parking lot entrance from people to being able to enter and also be able to leave. The Southfield police drove 20 miles outside of the city limits into the city of Clarkston, entered into my home, and drugged me out of my home under arrest without a warrant for my arrest, without my rights were never read to me, and it was under a miscellaneous warrant for civil infractions for the business. The harassment has continued after that. The city council, the mayor, the city clerk, you all said I had your support, and I'm here requesting that support. Every interaction I have with the police, with the deputy chief, with the police officers, with the sheriffs, they all say, with the detectives, they all say, if I want to change, I have to get it through the city council. And they say they will continue to do this until the city council makes a change. So this is the ordinance that I've requested, that I'm asking for, is to allow me to be successful in the business. I'm here just trying to be a business owner. I'm here trying to be successful. I'm here trying to do what's in my civil rights and my civil liberties to be able to do in this city. And I did not sign up to be nonstop, constantly harassed with undercover cops, with plainclothes cops harassing my customers in my business. So I'm asking for you guys' support.
All right, we'll now move to the council portion of the meeting. We have 1 expense report to approve.
Chair,
Mr. Mandelbaum.
I'd like to move that we approve the travel expense for Councilman Brightwell for attending the MML convention.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Taylor, that we approve the travel expense report for Councilman Brightwell attendance at the Michigan Municipal League Convention. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Mr. Brightwell. Duly noted. Council, any other comments for this evening? Ms. Taylor.
Yes, I'd like to make just 2 comments. One is very good news. Our very own Maria Calhoun is now Dr. Maria Calhoun. So I would like to say congratulations to her.
Very good.
She was in the audience. I don't know where she went. And next, through the chair to Fred, I'm getting emails again about the rubbish pickup. I know we said that for the trees and the trim and all the leaves and stuff, that they had to, did we say that they have to be in garbage bags? Because some people are putting them in the garbage cans, and they're saying if they're more than 10, that they will not pick them up. They've been left.
If there's no limit on the can, so we'll have a conversation with GFL.
Okay.
And the smaller pieces, I believe the length is 3 to 4 feet of the branches that get picked up. Anything shorter should either be in a recycle bag or an appropriate recycle garbage can, and that will be picked up.
Okay. And for anyone that currently has gotten a citation or a sticker or something, who should they contact regarding that when it's on the bushels? Because some people put
one lady said she put 15 bags out. They picked up 10 and left 5.
If they call the Public Works Department, and I'm sorry I don't have the number
no, that's
offhand,
okay.
or they could even call the eyes number, and we'll get those over there.
I addressed that situation today
Okay. Thank
with
you.
GFL, and there is no rule about 10. That's some kind of myth that keeps coming over and over again. They will pick up 50 leaf bags if need be, if they're all out at the curb. So
Will they pick up cans as well?
yeah, the cans that a lot of people use cans for sticks in particular, rather than trying to bundle all those small sticks. And they won't pick up small sticks because they jam the chipper. So we encourage either put them in a bag or in a can. But yard waste, they'll pick up any number. I don't know why this keeps happening, but I have spoken to the supervisor who says, just responded to me this afternoon that we picked up as many as 50 at a single address.
Wow. So for those that's listening, if you have more than 10 bags and for some reason they're left at the curb, call Public Works.
Right.
And they will send someone out to take care of
I've
it.
also asked GFL to make sure their drivers are aware that yard waste, it's unlimited.
So who would have that responsibility to contact GFL?
The Public Works does.
Okay.
Or
So-
I contact them directly.
Okay. So is that something you're going to do?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
If I may comment on that as well.
Go right here.
If you do use a garbage can for the things that have to have like a Y or labeled as yard waste. However, I do know that in many discussions with Public Works, there is no limit. But on the city's website, it says refuse, so garbage is 60 pounds placed in a 32-gallon container, limit of 15 containers/bags per week. And then it also says yard waste must be in approved yard waste paper bags. Plastic bags will not be collected, and it has here in red bold letters, limit of 10 containers or bundles per week. So if we're telling people that there is no limit, which I understand is in our contract, I think it should be updated on the website as well.
That will be corrected. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Mandelbaum. Mr. Brightwell?
I think it might have been covered, but Mr. Zorn, a lot of this came up last year, and I think every time we spoke to Sam, there was an issue of training, and so we assume that he's still training his individuals. Can we reinforce the fact that he needs to train his individuals to specifically what is in the contract? Obviously, the website needs to be changed, but specifically what is in our contract with them?
We will reinforce that with the leadership at GFL, and that their drivers and pickup people are trained.
Any other comments from council? All right, then, we'll move to the mayor's portion.
I just have two quick things. One, we have a new restaurant that opened last week. It's Lefty's Famous Cheesesteak Hoagies across the street on Evergreen. It's in the space of the former Nap Nap Grill. I went over and I'd heard about them, and someone said to me, "Oh my gosh, Southfield's got a Lefty's," and it's the buzz is worth it. The sandwiches are delicious, probably a little caloric, but certainly worth it. And then I have an exciting announcement. Earlier this year, through the Japanese Consulate of Detroit, I was contacted and asked or encouraged to submit an application to the Japan Foundation for a Japan experience. And last week, we were notified that Southfield has been selected for a week's stay in Japan at all expenses paid by the Japan Foundation. I will be going along with City Clerk Sharika Hawkins and our Chamber President, Tanya Marcos Vano. They invited 3 people to go along, and that'll be May 19th to the 25th.
All right.
Thank you.
Great news. All righty. Administration, anything?
I have no items this evening, sir.
All right, Madam Attorney?
I have no items, thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, we have one expense report for the clerk for approval.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the expense report for Sharika Hawkins for the Women Power National Summit on March 15th through the 19th of 2019.
Support.
It's been properly moved by Councilwoman Taylor, supported by Councilman Mandelbaum, that we approve the expense report for Sharika Hawkins' attendance at the Women of Power National Summit. Are there any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, expense report approved. Madam Clerk, did you have any other items?
Just a reminder that we do have an election on May the 7th. It's just for precinct 22 in the city. It's for the school district of Oak Park's millage. So it's just one precinct where we'll be administrating an election for the school district of Oak Park. Precinct 22, which is located at St. John's Armenian Church.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Mr. Treasurer, do you have anything? Okay. Planner, assessor, engineer. All right. So yeah, we'll hold off. Okay, all right. No schedule, so we won't be scheduling anything for today, no ordinances to approve. If there's not anything else, then meeting is adjourned.